Šajā METΑLKāST epizodē.
METALKāSTS going international.
Again, this is like what we try to live as well. This idea of underground and of like this mindset to say that you could make it a bit more commercial project, but we don't want to.
How long until you create a new project?
Well, actually.
Yeah.
And this was like a huge issue. Then the bands changed because someone dropped off, and there's a nice squirrel walking around, like really beautiful.
Oh yeah, mother, look. Yeah.
But the worst thing I heard was that one guy was saying that, oh yeah, but why should we sponsor your scene? And I'm like, how can you even have such a mindset? I can't really tell why you should go there. Yeah, of course, of bands, because of this and that, but if you want to have something special and if you want to just experience what this underground vibe should be about, at least in my opinion, then I think
Or
it's
get
right.
involved.
Yeah, exactly. You have like your own project, it's more difficult because it takes more time.
Sorry.
You fucked it up.
Press this button.
Okay. So like, should we start again? We can start again.
Renār!
Now it's
Yeah.
recording.
Because I forgot that we haven't connected this device to the camera. So
Okay,
we will
so-
get a fresh, more energetic start, and
Yes,
everything
yes,
will
yes.
be fine.
New start. Woohoo!
Yeah. So, today we are near Stāsis, a wonderful city in Latvia. This looks like a cabin in the woods, and it is. We have been resting here for the weekend, going to sauna, going on trails, and you probably noticed there's another person here. Who is he? He is also known as Kruxator. I would call him a man of many hats, but some of you might know him with some projects like Warhorn Records, the festival of Tarbariitus. You definitely have seen him on stages with a bunch of bands like Death Kommander, Swarn, and some more bands, which we will touch upon. Right?
Yeah, I think the only bands that played in Latvia were actually Ziegenhorn, Swarn, Death Kommander, and one more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ziegenhorn, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one secret band,
Half secret.
half secret. Yeah. Do you remember how we met?
Whoa! I don't think we talked about this 10 minutes ago, but it might have been at Halls of Winter. Could it be?
Yes, yes. That was an interesting story. That was my first Halls of Winter festival. And I always, when I go to festivals, I check out the merch, and you were at one of the merch tables. You very passionately, you were trying to sell your CDs and a single Rotten Tangerine for 100 euros.
Which is still available, by the way.
It's probably in mint condition by now. Yeah. And you gave me a code or two for Bandcamp for one of your label's bands to check out. And we had agreement that I will at some point write to you about the local Latvian bands to introduce you to the scene of ours. And yeah, a year or a bit more passed by, and then only then I wrote to you. And then since then we have been communicating and at some points collaborating, and this is one of the collaborations. We have been talking, I think, since last year about potential conversation.
Oh,
Yeah, because I'm very intrigued by your label, Warhorn Records, and also your festival, Tarbariitus, and yeah, that's what I would like to talk about primarily, and your band activities and whatnot. One of our collaborations, the most recent one, was in a concert in Riga.
Oh.
What do you remember about it?
Well, I have very fond memories because I think it was one of the best concerts that we have, definitely the best concert in Latvia. I really liked the crowd that was there, because it felt like it was interesting because it was a mixture of a bit of older generation and younger generation. So you had those guys who were like standing more in the background like this, and then you had like the youngsters who were going completely wild, and that was really nice because I would usually assume that especially old school death metal is something that more the older generation is into. So it was actually really nice to have such a crowd that was even engaged and like full of energy. So, and also all the other guys who were there, they were really enjoying it. So I mean, like, this is from the crowd perspective, but also from organization, it worked really well. Nothing bad to say. So
yeah, that concert definitely had a special feeling. I've been to many concerts, and comparing to other concerts, these were underground bands. Like, none of them had huge names, but I think we did a splendid job in regards to promoting and talking about these projects, and people definitely had an interest, and we were even put in a bigger venue than originally planned, and
it worked.
And it worked, and there were around 200 people for those small bands. But yeah, the crowd was very active, and the sound was great in comparison to other locations. And yeah, as a attendee, well, I didn't perform, I was in the crowd. In that sense, I was an attendee. It definitely felt special, especially the Death Kommander performance in that death metal evening. It really was like watching a classic death metal band.
I think, you know, like, it's also a bit due to, like, if you look at the band members, I mean, I'm the youngest, and if you look at the other guys, I mean, they're like two of our band members, they're 50 years old, and they have like a huge experience. And like, if you talk about old school death metal and guys who have been in the scene for 30 years, I mean, I think you just have the right people, and I'm very glad that it works out that way, that also, like, in front of the stage you perceive it that way, because I think it's not so easy to replicate. I think a lot of bands might be trying to do it, but I don't know what is the secret for it to work. But I think a bit probably sincerity, and then also you need to have the right people in the right combination.
Yeah. But you're an international band, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 people in Switzerland, 1 in Scotland, and I'm in Estonia. So it's let's put it this way: practicing is not as easy as you would assume.
Yeah. How does a band function being international? Like, if you want to do a gig or a release, how do you work?
I think for releases it's the easiest, because everyone can do their own part in their own time at their home. I mean, for example, I was recording all the vocals in Estonia, and it's kind of straightforward because I can send them to like our guitar player who's mixing them, Ben, and he can then just give feedback on what he thinks is good, what could be improved, and yeah, like, this is the easier part. For playing live, it's a bit more difficult because, well, we have all three guitar and bass players, like we have them in one place, so that makes it easier for them. But for the drummer, it's a bit more challenging because you need to have the drums and the guitars at the same time, because sometimes, like the way it is right now, is that the guitar players all follow each other, but ideally they should actually be following the drums, right? So like if the drums do like a slight variation, or even like it can happen that like someone, like the drums play wrong or to do whatever, right? Then the guitar players ideally should also do the same. But because you can't have that many practices, like this link will always be a bit challenging. Not impossible, but yeah, just challenging. And for the vocals, I mean, I can just sing on top. I don't think the guys even care about that.
Okay. Is Death Kommander your first band?
Actually not. I think my very first band was back in Germany, and we called it Beer Slayer, because it's also a pun, which means Beer Slayer in Bavarian means beer is empty. But yeah, it was like not a very serious project. And then later, when I was living in Sweden, I was shortly in a band whose name I obviously forgot. And then when I moved to Scotland, I think the first time I was really engaged in a band activity or in a recording was for Demonic Obedience. So Demonic Obedience was always a studio project. So here it was a bit easier just to record the vocals. And then only later I was asked by the same guy who was in Demonic Obedience, George, if I wanted to do the vocals for Death Kommander, which at the time was only Bennett himself. And from there we started it, and then it became the first real band, you could say.
Okay. So we should probably mention other bands you are in. So Swarn.
Yes, and Swarn. Although I must also admit that like I'm mostly a live guitar player.
Yeah.
For some new stuff, maybe one or two riffs come from my humble self, but I think Teat, like the main guy behind the project, is a brilliant guy. But here actually, it's quite interesting because when we play live, we play differently than it is on record. Because when Teat plays something on record, it is like he is playing it. But when we play it live, at least for my guitars, I try to do like slightly different. And we sometimes even do like as a whole band, like some different things, which actually led us to the idea that maybe we want to record a live recording from either like a studio or from a live. We actually have like already one cassette from a live show, but more that we do like a live recording in the practice room. Because first of all, the sound is different. Secondly, the way we play things is quite different. And yeah, but yeah, that's for that. So Swarn, I recently joined.
What else do you have active that you want to talk about?
So then we have, of course, Ziegenhorn.
Is it active?
It is active. Like I get this asked this question like many times because we don't play often and we don't show many things. And the reason is because, well, first of all, I have many hundred different projects, right? Yeah. And for Ziegenhorn, like the idea was always to play few but selective shows. So what it means is that like the idea is if you can put your energy into something, it should be 120%. But if you play too often, it kind of becomes routine.
Yeah.
And especially with Ziegenhorn, we want to make every time special, but you can't make it special if you do the same thing over again, right? You can't always invent something new. So usually every time we play, we have a different set list. We have like at least something which is different. And also like it must be the right place because there's no point in just playing for playing because I don't know. It's not for me. But we are currently actively working on the next album.
Okay.
And the artwork is actually already almost finished. We have different versions of the artwork.
Will it be the same style?
Slightly. It is a different artist. The artist, she is studying historical architecture, if I'm not mistaken, or historical art, and she's like really brilliant, Estonian girl, and the artwork will contain certain elements that were like before, but the idea is actually to kind of challenge what you think is black metal, and it's a bit of like Ziegenhorn is always like this middle finger to the current scene, and I think it fits perfectly because everyone is expecting something like that goes in the same direction, but it's exactly the reason why it's going into another direction, at least from the artwork.
Yeah.
From the songs, I think we already do have 3 songs that are more or less ready. So we are definitely advancing, and now we have taken some time to just go to the practice room, play the songs through, try to arrange them, and make them perfect, because I don't like having a song composed and then just record it and say that's it, because usually you understand how a song could or should be working, where the weaknesses and strengths are when you have played it 100 times.
Yeah.
So you need to spend a lot of time. So I would hope that with Ziegenhorn we have at least an album in 2026, and about shows I don't know, because again it must be something like suitable, special, because otherwise there's no point in doing it. Yeah.
That's probably my favorite Warhorn Records album, Ziegenhorn.
Oh, surprised to hear.
It's so powerful, and also the digipack is very unique. You have pages inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the usual digipacks.
Yeah, because we talk about
Nice.
all these things. I of course also brought my mystery box with a lot of different things, and yeah, it's because I don't know if it can be seen, but the idea is that I spent huge amount of time to think about all of that, right? You see, like, it's different artworks, and there's also a reason for why there's always like a different artwork and what it also entails. And you see, like, it's here we have like some parts. Actually, this was oh my god, this was like one of the worst decisions, because we made it. I like to have limited editions because they show that something's ending, right? But here the challenge was that doing this sheet separately, like ordering the sheet at the same place where we pressed the vinyl. So yeah, we printed this one at a separate place, and also one of the reasons was because I wanted to hand number them, because once they're packed, you cannot, like, you have to take it out of this one every time. But that meant that actually we had to go and write 300 times, because we also had 150 black ones, and write it 300 times, 1, 2, 3, and then you think like, oh fuck, did we forget a number? No, because counting is a difficult thing, right? But yeah, as you already see, that it's different compared to the digipack, and there's 2 reasons. Firstly, because at a digipack you can have like a booklet, and here it was actually an interesting idea to glue it in, so it's actually not like separately but actually glued in.
Yeah.
You saw this, and it actually took me a really long time, because the artworks are done by artists, right? But the arrangement, which you would call design, like for example deciding to have like the snakes here and like these things, I did all myself, and it took me really days, if not weeks, to get it right, because I had no prior experience. And also, like, what maybe like is not seen like in the beginning is that actually this is a whole artwork, and the album name is called Blood and Chaos, and this is the blood part and this is the chaos part, and it's connected through the snakes of eternity. So there's some more philosophy behind it, why we did it, which is like usually not visible when you just buy it. You just look at it, you think, oh yeah, it looks cool, it looks metal, whatever, but actually there was like a lot of thought going into it.
Yeah, you can definitely feel it in comparison to other band releases. It instantly felt like quality, even the digipack, you know. Yeah, and music-wise, definitely something very, very powerful, and I hope that that your decision to do something different still keeps the energy in the material.
It definitely has, and I mean, we won't do post-rock, but the idea is because like Ziegenhorn was always for me that I wanted to show how I want to have the music I listen to. So like a lot of these riffs and a lot of these arrangements, they are thought in a certain way that, all right, if I'm standing in front of the stage, what do I want to have, right? You have some bands that are going like for full blast, but it kind of becomes, you know, like a wall of sound. And some people like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a fair point, but I think it's especially if you think about like a shitty sound, right? You have a shitty sound, you will just hear a wall of noise. The idea is that like music composing should be not only looking into the riffs, but also like into how guitars work with the vocals, work with the drums, and then we luckily have this new bass player who's also a better guitar player than me, and he adds a lot to the band. So I think you need to look at it from like this holistic view, and let's see if we can reproduce it, because I think the first album I was 80-90% happy with it. With the sound, yeah, I think it could have been done maybe like in hindsight, maybe a bit differently from the sound perspective, but it's not a huge issue. It is what it is.
As long as it has attitude. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly, and that's like the whole idea. And I mean, like the beauty is when you do your own stuff, you can just decide what you want to do. So I was thinking of like maybe have one song which is not like, it doesn't relate to anything that we did with Ziegenhorn, but I kind of feel it works in the context of the band. So we might release it before at some point of time. Just here it is, and yeah, but let's see about it. Long story short, Ziegenhorn is still active.
okay,
Yeah.
glad to hear that. Currently, which one of your bands is the most active?
I would
or
believe
project?
I would believe Death Kommander, because we have had a lot of shows. We have just released our new album, and now for this year we still have 2 more shows, one at Tarbariitus and one in November in Switzerland. And for next year we also have one festival booked in Germany, and I believe there will be more. And because for this band it's a bit, at least for me, it's a bit easier, because I only need to memorize the lyrics, and then I just go there, sing them, and that's it. It's wonderful. Like, you just go on stage, you don't need to do any stupid sound check. They don't take your guitars. It's beautiful. But with the other bands, like of course we are also quite active. For example, with Swarn, we definitely want to think about what to do also next year, because here we have a very similar attitude, that we want to play only at shows where it makes sense. I mean, we played some bigger places, but then, for example, we also did a very small underground gig with only 10 people, because that's how it should be, right? So you have like this mixture between, you know, like, okay, sometimes you play on a bigger stage, but you can still do it like in front of some few people and still enjoy it, because those are sometimes even more important, because otherwise you might just like end up like some huge star or whatever. But it's actually, you know, like being part of the scene is not always like being on stage and looking down onto others and think like, oh yeah, I'm the cool guy because I play in a band, but actually by engaging with the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is Death Kommander received and perceived since the new album? Does it feel like you are growing in interest?
Yeah, of course. I think it is the band that where we will also get the furthest, and the simple reason is because we play a genre that was kind of like very important for a lot of people, and then when both for us stopped, there was a huge void, And even though there are at least 10 different bands that play exactly the same sound, but still it works. And for us, of course, we try also to go our own path, which again is a bit funny to see, because you see like some reviews which say, oh yeah, the first 4 songs are really bad, but the rest are really cool. Others are said the other way around. It always depends on if a person likes Bolt Thrower or not. And then there are those that will say, oh, we love it because it sounds like Bolt Thrower, or we hate it because it sounds like Bolt Thrower. But Bolt Thrower is dead, and like don't do copycat. So, but long story short, it's a band that was perceived like the best, and especially the album. And you can really see it that we also, because mystery box. We just released this album also together with 4 labels actually. So yeah, so you can see this one was actually from FDA. With Warhorn, I thought it would be cool to do a cooperation, because also the Ziegenhorn album was in cooperation with another German label. It's just nicer to do a cooperation, because you get like new ideas. Also you have different opportunities, because the risk is lower for both of them. And I love vinyl, but I hate shipping them. Because every time you need to like buy a special box and all these things, so I'm totally fine with selling them and everything, but I don't like shipping them. And it's same for cassettes, by the way. And if you look at this, it's actually quite nicely done. And this was actually done with also fucking Killer Records, who did the red version of this vinyl. And yeah, I mean, it is just cool to see what others do with what you give them, right? Because here,
this is a cool pic of the guns.
yeah, it's actually
Looks serious.
Yeah, it's actually also an interesting story, because this is the practice room in Switzerland. So there's our Swiss guys, they have a practice room within a bunker. So we usually go down, and it sounds very romantic and very metal, but I tell you, there's no air. it's not so great. Yeah, but also like the color.
Ooh.
I really like this one, because it kind of like fits. Like it's not this cheesy yellow.
Camo brown or something.
Yeah, it's like almost camouflage brown. So yeah, this is like the advantage when you work with other labels, because they have like an own idea, and you can look at the final product and say like, wow, that's actually really cool. I can learn something from that. And yeah, like so we had like those 2 labels, and then we had another one that Macho Records that did the cassette, and then of course we saw from the perception that there's a lot of people who are digging the music, and also who come to the shows, and some shows were really fantastic, like the one in Barter I think was quite good, like the one in Riga was amazing. Other ones were also good, but of course as a band that just started to play together, we are still like trying to learn how to play together on stage, although I think it already works quite well, but there's always room for improvement.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. See. Maybe there is something else you wanna show and tell about your bands.
Well, let me think how to phrase it. Well, there's maybe one more interesting project that just accidentally happened to be in my pocket, and I just mention it because it was released under Warhorn, but there's no merch from Warhorn, and that's this Hasswald cassette. And the reason we didn't do it is because the band's idea is to do everything according to their own rules. So a bit like Nietzschean, the idea of Nietzsche, because basically the idea of like the Supermensch is that you create your own values and everything, right? And so the idea of the band was that they just do it like the way they think it is, right? And in this case it was like 2 EPs that they needed to go together, but it doesn't necessarily need to be something physical. Like it can be, which would be cool. But first of all, I didn't have time to deal with that. And secondly, it felt like when you put it on CD, but you have 2 completely different sounds, it just doesn't work, right? Because you jump from this one raw sound from the first EP to this like very refined sound from the second, right? But for a cassette, it's fine because you can just exactly. And yeah, and also like it's quite nice because it was done by Stuka, another label from Tartu.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know like if many people know about it, because we kept it in general like quite under the radar. And maybe there will be some more things in the future for this band, but
Well, Latvians should know about it since it played in Zobens un Lemes festival.
yes, the band performed at Zobens un Lemes last year, right,
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
And then this year at Barter as well, which was So like it's also like one of those bands that plays sometimes, but not too often, because it always needs to somehow fit. I think it's a better approach for many bands that if they choose when to play and where to play, because I mean, of course, it's a question of philosophy, right? There are other bands that like to play a lot and make their name and kind of like get known, because when you don't play, I mean, how many people who have not seen Ziegenhorn actually know Ziegenhorn? Because it's very difficult to find them, right?
Yeah.
But it's like the same for Hasswald, for Swarn, I think, because there are a lot of releases, it's a bit more easier to find it, because when you release something, it's easier to find. But yeah, like I think this makes also like a bit our Estonian or Southern Estonian scene a bit different compared to others, is that actually all or almost all the bands, they are more looking into doing few and selected concerts.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, actually, I forgot one band, which is Wolfskrone.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is on Warhorn also.
Which is also on Warhorn, and actually we did few concerts as well.
What's your involvement with them?
I do vocals, yeah. So it's a two-man project, and I do vocals, and the smart guy does the smart things.
Yeah.
But here we played, I think it was 2021 or 2. Can't remember. No, I think it was 2022, and we played, I think, 3 shows. It was when Tartu and the Horns was released. So we played at the same. No, sorry, we were thinking of playing, but we didn't. But yeah, it was around the same time, and then we played also in Germany. And here is actually also one of those examples that I want to bring out, that even if you know you don't have many shows, but do you now want to just go on stage with your normal clothes and do whatever, or, which we did in this case, was like thinking a whole stage outfit. So like I have some friends who are who are good in like creating these clothes, and so it's handmade actually.
Yeah.
These costumes, and then also we had like some masks made out of bark. So I went to the forest, I got some bark, I carved out like these faces. It's a bit like Grima, but Grima are, in my opinion, a bit lazy, because they probably buy it somewhere, and yeah, it looks cool, but it's not handmade. Whereas we did like from different trees actually. One is from oak, one is from birch. Birch, that's the one.
Ah, tree.
Yeah. So one is from birch, and so on and so forth. So, and we put all of this effort, and it's like countless hours just for basically 2 concerts.
Yeah.
And this is why I sometimes get annoyed at bands who are just going on stage and just play their set and think, yeah, we're the cool guys. It's like, no, I mean, don't you try to do something special? I mean, yeah, you don't need to go like that far to carve your own masks, but
Yeah.
but I'm really getting annoyed by bands that don't think about what they want to represent,
Yeah.
and are just lazily. I mean, in some cases it fits, but not all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for your own bands, are there any gigs or festivals planned?
So for this year, we only have a Death Kommander at Tarbariitus and in Switzerland, and then for next year. For the others, I'm currently thinking whether we should plan something for Ziegenhorn, maybe 1 or 2 gigs next year. For Swarn, we have some ideas. Like I think we mostly play abroad, and for the others we will see. But it's at the moment there are no concrete plans.
And how long until you create a new project?
Well, actually, There's one project I have wanted to do for a long time, but once it happens, like I won't say I will be involved, because it's also a bit personal project again. And here I have almost written like the music for a whole album, and I think it's gonna be something very, very crazy, but it can work. But the problem is time, and because I already have quite a few bands. I mean, there was a time when I was playing live guitars for Pergerus, and I was quite happy when that obligation went away, because every band you play in is an additional responsibility and work. So at Tartu, for example, like I played with 3 bands, and it was horrible because we were driving like 1,700 kilometers. We did like one stop in Western Poland, stayed overnight. I think I slept 2 hours or something. Then like going there, and then we arrived. We had half an hour, then we needed to put the stuff on backstage, then prepare, going on stage, first band. Then in the evening or night we had the second one, and then the next day the next one, and oh my fucking god. And if you want to perform like 100% with each of them, it's so challenging, because you need to prepare, you said, like the mindset, you need to like remember all the riffs. It's not so easy. If you think about, every band has 40 minutes, so it's 40, 40, 40, so you're playing 1.5 hours, but with different genres, different lyrics, and yeah.
Speaking about other projects, do you wanna mention the podcast or the magazine or?
Yes, actually, good point. So first, I want to show something cool, because I think this one was not mentioned yet.
Swarn.
Yes, so for Swarn, as you may know or may not know,
This is a 7-inch?
yes, it's a 7-inch. Exactly, and you most likely haven't heard about it, but first I want to show actually.
Thick?
Yes, it is. This one, because what most people don't see is the inside, which is absolutely stunning, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It looks a bit like it doesn't look like it when you look from the outside, but it's actually from the inside. And why I want to show it is because all of the drawings are done by the guy who's writing in music.
Okay.
And
so
that's
it's a true solo project.
Yeah, no, it's actually 2 people. Well, at that time it was 2 people. Now we like a bit more, but it's just crazy, because like the guy here is just such a talented person. And now if you
is the artwork by the same person who made the Death Metal Evening poster for Riga?
Yes. And then you have this one, which is a 7-inch, which we did not talk that much about, but it's actually we just felt that it's much cooler if you have a 7-inch, like also old school. And if you listen to the songs, they are heavy as fuck and old school as fuck. And this is my favorite part.
Nice colors.
Yeah. We also have another one, which is, I also have here, but no point in showing 2 of them. But the idea was to do some limited splatters, 7 inches an EP, so 3 songs on there. And they are really old school, like really with this old school sound. The guy, again, like he's a genius. He's composing music, but also mixing and mastering.
Yeah.
And then also like doing all this layout. So like it's 100% done by him, which I really like high respect.
Truly, yeah.
And for this one also, like again, like this old school idea that we do not put it up digitally, because some things are just supposed to be, well, you know, like we have this problem that like nowadays everything is digital and available, but I think you appreciate things more when you know that they are physical and not mass consumption.
Yeah.
And truth be told, if we were to put this up, like, yeah, we could probably sell a lot of CDs and cassettes and whatever, or like even digital, right? But again, this is like what we try to live as well. This idea of underground and of you know, like this mindset to say that, yeah, you could make it a bit more commercial project, but we don't want to.
Yeah.
And I think this is much better approach than other way. Of course, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but it's just like how we want to live the music.
Yeah, the music reflects that mentality. If you do it out of heart, you can hear it. The music has pure emotion, right?
Exactly. At least that's what I would like to believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just thought I could take this opportunity to also show other things, because usually you only see them, but you don't necessarily understand them, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, when we look at this poster, this is for Tarbariitus. Yeah, this way. So,
We
usually,
can maybe put it there. It
yeah.
probably be seen if we pin it with
Yeah,
mugs.
I mean the idea is like mostly to, like, you can also find it online, right? But the idea is just to talk about what or why, because here I talked to the artist who was drawing it, so like to have like a frame, because I think a frame is really cool. Of course, it's like extra work, it's extra money you need to invest, because the artist doesn't do it for free, right? But it's really cool, and I think the artist also did a really great job with what you see now in the background.
Yeah.
So in the background you have what is, like last year we had the coat of arms,
Yeah.
but like a bit slightly overdone, and this part is also connected to Tartu, because we have this, it's called Kirek, so it's this ruins of the dome church, and this is like the one entrance to it.
Okay. Okay.
And I really like to have like these details that are not like just some random, yeah, it looks cool artwork, but actually that they are connected to what we're doing. And this will also be like on the shirt, like when
Awesome.
festival shirt, so you can actually see and understand it. And yeah, so this is like one of these things.
Yeah.
And yeah, but talking about, because we kind of skipped over like Warhorn, but it's I think fine.
We're gonna go there
Mhm.
still.
Yes, just wanted to show this really cool patch, because you're like sometimes I'm very happy with like how things work out, and especially like this combination
Ziegenhorn, yeah.
red with black. It's like very powerful in this red frame.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, sometimes things just work out. But yeah, with the festival. So when we started last year, I did organize some concerts before, and every time I try to make it something special, because I think we have a similar mindset that if you do something, it should be worth the time, right? Not quantity, but actually quality.
Yes.
And of course, it makes things more difficult, because you need to think about what do you want to do, right? What do you want to say? So in 2023, I organized 3 concerts that were connected with the names, and also each of them had a different theme. So like one was like more with this aggressive, like kind of like music. Then one was more folkish, and one was with kind of experimental and like atmospheric black metal. And for those, every time we had also something intro. So for example, in one of them we had like pictures shown on screen, and then like one of our guys was playing guitar, and stuff like that. So it was really, really special. And those people who went there, they actually really enjoyed it. But of course, you also have other events happening at the same time, and so it happened that on one of those concerts there were 4 different events at the same time. So you can imagine that if you organize one of them like this, we had I think 30 tickets sold, which is better than nothing, but still it's you always run minus, right?
Yeah.
So with one of those concerts where Ziegenhorn was playing, like we were breaking even, but with all the others, like it's not possible. And then I thought, okay, if I am going to, you got anyways, when you organize something in like underground scene, like you always lose money, which is for me fine because it's my hobby. But if I'm going to do it, it makes more sense to do it once instead of multiple times, because you need the same amount of time to think about how to do it. You need to talk to the location and so on and so forth. So actually it's easier to have it in one. And then I thought, why not having like a festival, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't have any in Tartu. We had like some similar ones, but not in this specific niche. And the idea is also to get bands that usually would always go to Tallinn come to Tartu. because back in the 90s it was a completely different area or like a story from what I heard from those older guys, that for example Behemoth was coming to Tartu, and like a lot of these really cool bands that were like back in the time, they were coming to Tartu, not necessarily to Tallinn. But then it shifted because of course it's easier to fly to Tallinn or to come by the ferry to Tallinn, and most of the things happen in Tallinn. And one of the idea was, okay, if we bring some really special event, then maybe we can also make our own special thing that makes also like helps the scene, the local scene, to evolve a bit more. Because if you don't have any concerts happening locally, you don't get the motivation, you don't get the inspiration. Yeah. So that's how it started. And then last year it went quite well, I must admit. I was not expecting that many people. It was really nice. Also bands, everything went really perfect. And then I said, okay, right, let's try it again. Because in the beginning I thought maybe once is enough, just make a special event, and if it fails, it fails, doesn't matter. And then, yeah, it worked. And now we're doing like the second edition, but this year was so many more problems and issues that I'm quite happy when when the edition is over.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But of course you may ask me what problems we have. Of course I'm gladly going to tell you. But because we had 4 bands that initially said yes, and then they jumped off due to different reasons.
Yeah.
One was because they either like, I don't want to say they did, but like it feels like they cancelled because they get a better gig. Another one, they had like okay, like the drummer couldn't then make it. Okay, fair enough. Another one just dissolved. Okay, it's also interesting that the band dissolves. Okay, and yeah, like and the fourth one was an almost, because one of the guys, he got bitten by a dog in his hand. And he had like 15 stitches to get it done. It's really crazy, and I'm very happy that he's doing well, and at least I hope so, and that he definitely will come. But yeah, this year there were so many challenges, hurdles that. But it's okay, because it's part of organizing, and you know, who would you be if you would just stop the first time like some challenge comes your way, right?
Before we continue about festival. Let's close up about the smaller projects, right?
Right.
Do you want to say anything about the podcast or not yet?
Oh, right. So the podcast is actually connected to the festival.
Okay.
So one of the things is that because we have an underground festival, and also because people in the Baltics, they don't have much money, right? So I can't ask 80 or 100 euros for a festival ticket. Yeah. It's just not realistic. So what my idea is to offer the bands, and of course the visitors as well, a really good experience, so that when they come they say, okay, we maybe like it's not economically viable, but we had really a good time. And the way we did it, I come to it in a second, was by doing some small things, and also like making sure that we had really good beer. So like not I as a band, like I went to many festivals and usually get a shitty beer, sometimes 2.5% beer. I'm like, that's not even beer, sorry. But so like that you have like really good quality, and like you are seen as like, you know, like a guest who that we show that we care about you. Yeah. And one of these things was, all right, if we can't like what else can we give to the bands, and also which also is good for the visitors, because the way how we select bands is not just we just randomly take in whoever comes first, but actually we look at what would fit, what is interesting, and what is also has the right underground spirit. And the podcast idea was to talk with the people behind those projects, to show who they are and why we invited them. Because yes, music is one part, but mindset is way more important part. And when you get to know the person behind the band, you may also understand the music better, right? So it's kind of like a win-win, because you as a visitor, you now understand why or what the band is doing, and the band also gets a bit more exposure in a sense, right? Because now they have the chance to talk about the project, which they otherwise would maybe not.
Yeah.
So that was the idea.
What's the name behind the podcast?
Yes, important things. 3 weeks before the festival, we should maybe think about.
Anyway, we
Maybe
will
think-
take it in the description, so you can check it out.
Maybe just call it Tarbariitus Podcast or something. It's let's see.
Okay. So, what about the magazine?
Yes, I will come to it in a second, because the podcast was one of these things, but the other things we are doing is for the bands is like we're creating like these specific necklaces as a basically entry.
Yeah.
This one was done like I basically went to the workshop for 2 days and doing them like all by hand, like 60, 70, like some like bands and some other people who were coming, like were getting them, and then also like we had one of our guys who created a hot sauce.
Nice.
And it's like really amazing, because now you like the band is coming, is actually getting something more, and it's like I don't want to talk about what we have this year because it's supposed to be a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
But this is basically like the idea how we try at least to satisfy the bands, because I had this discussion with one band who was saying, oh yeah, but now we see that we have like they wanted to rent a van to come there, because they also wanted to have a driver and everything was like, yeah, I mean, I understand you. Like we never have a driver, because you just can't pay for one more person to sleep, or for one more like van to rent. It's just not possible. Like I know this, but some bands, they have maybe different expectations. But where should this money come from, right?
Yeah.
So again, like the idea is that for that we are trying to make like a lot of things that have at least give the bands a good time, and they come there, they have a really good time, and what they have is like a good experience. Because alternatively, yeah, you could try to squeeze the money from somewhere. We don't do any of this, but it's just another festival. And by that you also filter out those bands that are only in for the money, or those that actually want to be part of the underground.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then because again, when I'm doing something, I want to do it like special. So last year we had the third version, I think, of tought. It's an Estonian magazine that was released at the day.
Yeah.
And in this year, I thought that it would be cool to have this project, which is Must, to be released at this festival. And what is different about it is that it's not about interviews. It's about the people who are in the scene and who share their own stories. So what it means is that, for example, you may know the band Eldama.
Nope.
Okay, so it is like an atmospheric black metal band from Norway. I think now they go more into this melodic black, but quite big actually. And I asked this guy to write about Tolkien. So he was writing about about his Tolkien opinion. It's a short article, but quite nice. Then from Swarn, from the singer, he wrote like a whole article about Lovecraft and how it's connected to black metal.
Okay.
And we have another one that is about Nyctopia, because he's like very obsessed with the moon, and it's super interesting to talk with him. And so I was very happy to have his worldview in a text, because it's super interesting to read. And some more about like what is underground, and from one guy who is doing a German black metal podcast. Also one guy who just had cancer. He's writing about his experience and how to live with it. And there's also one more which is quite interesting. It's about why Van Gogh is black metal. So yeah. But this is exactly the cool thing, to do something completely different that no one else would dare to do or would do. And this one is just like the first print proof, so it will look slightly different, but like pretty similar.
So it will be available at the festival.
Yes, correct. And so it's something I think like very special, that is again like something that whatever you create in underground, not many people may know about it, but it has usually more soul than what you get from mainstream, and this is why I like doing this underground things.
Yeah, By the way, what is Pergerus?
Well, it is, I would say, a collective of musicians who, it's not a club or anything.
Yeah.
It's just like people who have been doing things together for quite some time, who have like us, like a bond, like we all know each other, we are also in different bands together. And also we have our own practice room, which is also our studio, basically where we record stuff, where we sometimes, there used to be, on all the times, there used to be more meetings. Now with most people having a family, it's like less of that, but we still get occasionally together. And it's more like this mindset of different people who are from the scene, who have their bands and are there together and trying to create something together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a very nice, yeah, how to say, like group of people, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Should we continue about Tarbariitus, or do you want to leave it for the end?
I mean, we can talk about it. Why not?
Yeah. First of all, this is the second year.
Yes.
The second edition of it. At the start, how did you come to the thought that you need to make a festival?
Well,
how do you decide to?
I mean, it kind of is related to what I mentioned before, that it makes more sense to have like one big event instead of like 3 smaller. But I've been volunteering at a lot of bands, a lot of festivals and concerts. I've been like stage manager, security, merch sales. I like pretty much done everything. And I like to organize, I like to do things. And especially with festivals, I really love them. I've been to at least in 10, 15 different countries, like I've been to different festivals. So I really like them because it's a place where you gather people, where people actually have a reason to come together, right? When you have a concert, people are, yeah, maybe I'm coming, maybe not. But a festival's like a bit bigger thing. And I always wanted to do it. Actually, the first time when Corona came, but back in time, of course, Corona was coming. Yeah. So I was trying to figure out like a location. I found this beautiful location, but it was never working out because either of price or it was the people who run it, like they were not replying. So it's very difficult to find location. And then we decided, why not doing it in the venues that we know, but using the whole building, because then it makes sense. Because just having like the same bands on like one after the other, it's kind of like a concert. Yeah. But if you have first of all 2 locations and you have also other things going on, then it's a festival. And I think you can do way more with a festival because you have the possibility to now approach other people. Like for example, I have a friend who is a guitar builder. Yeah. And he will be coming on Friday and showing his guitar. He's also selling some pickups for the guitars, and he's also taking in orders, of course. But like the idea is that now you have a space where you have people who come together and like can exchange about like different topics, and I think this is like way more interesting than, for example, for a concert.
So the main reason for organizing this event is originally to elevate the mindset, that's active mindset. And
also underground mindset, because you know when you can decide what bands are coming and how like whom to invite, you have different possibilities. Because like what I usually try to tell the bands is like I want all of them to stay for both days. The reason is that most bands they feel like, oh, we're stars now, and then they only go to their own concerts. When other bands play, they're in backstage, then they come on stage and then they fuck off. And I don't think that's good for anyone. Yeah. It's not even good for their own bands because they don't get any inspiration from anywhere else, and you don't have any scene. Yeah. And yeah, with this one you can.
Is it more of a one-man job organizing, or is it a big team's work?
If I was doing this alone, it would fail miserably. Like we are very lucky that we started. Like I had this idea, but I from the beginning I said I cannot do it alone. I can only do this if I have help. And I talked, like I think I started with the Pergerus people, asked them like who would be interested in potentially helping. and then we got already some answers. Then I got like some other guys whom I knew from some other like reasons, and and then like it grew and now we are, I think, 6 or 7 active people. Everyone's doing like their own, let's say, like it's not that everyone's like working constantly with it, but it's getting a bit better that I can, for example, give everything that's like related to band communication. Right, it's a huge part which takes a lot of energy. Like one person who does it brilliantly, and he also, when the bands are coming, the idea is we have one person who would greet them, because for me it's important that we show also respect to the bands who come. Right, so like who takes care of them, who solves like all these logistical problems. Then also, of course, like other people who come on spot, who do like stage management, who deal with this and that. So yes, it's a team of multiple people, and but everyone is like on their own like level of how much they do.
In comparison to the first year, was it as difficult, or since you have been making the festival at that location, was it easier, or the difficulties were just different? How was it this year?
Well, last year everything went well, not perfectly smooth, because they did the shirts. They arrived on the last day, and actually one band from Tallinn, I'm very thankful for them. they brought them to us. But this year we have like a bit more prepared. But there's always like this kind of annoying things that coming. But like especially the biggest problem was with the bands. Also, I was a bit disappointed because I was trying to find some cool bands where I thought, oh, they have really an underground mindset, but then the interest immediately drops off when you say that, sorry, we can't pay like your entire entire cost. Because if you come, for example, from Germany, just as an example, because I had with a couple of German bands, I had this issue that they want us to pay for the flights. Then of course they want to take their own instruments, which I understand, but we usually offer that they can use our instruments, because then they save a lot of money on the baggage, right? And then like also accommodation and everything. Yeah, sure, it's like 1,000 euros roughly, plus all of these things we do, plus beer and everything. So you're paying like a huge amount of money for a band that literally no one knows here and has maybe released one album. And then the band thinks like, oh yeah, but we should be getting, and we should like, if I had the money, I would love to do it, but do that times 13, because we have 13 bands, actually 14. So then you understand that where should I, or how should I ever get this money in? And then because like we also, when we play with, let's say, Ziegenhorn or other bands, then we never break even. It's just not possible. Because we have to get from Estonia to wherever. But it's fine for me, because it's my hobby, and I don't do it for money, but because of like other reasons. Even not like to play live, but actually I think it's important to have this scene going on, and also like to showcase. Like it's different reasons. But the answers I got were sometimes so frustrating, because the band was saying like, yeah, you need to understand us, because like I can't put money into the band. Okay, so it's not a hobby anymore, right? Like I put like and then they say, yeah, like, but then we have to pay. That doesn't feel right. It's like, yeah, I am paying for the whole fucking festival, and then you tell me you want to break even. I understand your sentiment, but you also understand my sentiment that I cannot have like a festival that has minus 10,000 euros every year, because I don't have that money. But the worst thing I heard was that one guy was saying that, oh yeah, but why should we sponsor your scene? And I'm like, how can you even have such a mindset, right? Like sponsoring someone's scene, and like it also shows the mindset that a lot of bands have, I think, is that like, oh yeah, if I cannot benefit from it, why should someone else, right? Like I think it's great if you can go to some place where usually nothing's happening, because then finally someone else sees it and feels, oh, this is really cool, I also want to start a band. And this is how you create a scene, how you keep a scene, and not by saying like, oh yeah, it's just a shitty small place, I don't want to go there because whatever reason.
Initially, how do you find those like-minded people, like-minded bands? Do you first look at the music you like and then contact them, or is it different?
Yeah, of course you need to like the music, because otherwise, and this is like what I think you saw last year, that every band was different but really interesting in their own way, right? And like usually I go to concerts, I go to festivals, I listen to music, so I sometimes find something. In, for example, one case, I found this person, I talked to this person at another festival, and first I thought, okay, sounds like a nice guy. Then I listened to music and I was like, oh, that's actually quite cool. Then I saw some videos how they play live. I talked to this guy and understood he's also running his own small label. He's also printing their own stuff. And I thought, that's a perfect match. Because you want to have exactly these people who just do the things because they want to do things, not because they want to be stars, because they want to be known, whatever. No, they just have the inner urge to do it. And then I also accidentally found out that this band is absolutely brilliant. It's
Speaking of
Tarbariitus. And like a huge respect. Like the guy is quite young, but like the things he's doing is absolutely amazing. And when he released his latest album, I was so taken aback, because it's exactly what I want to hear from the black metal scene.
good.
And to me they are like, you can also see like the lineup. Usually it's biggest band in top and then it goes down. Yes, partially it is, but mostly it was arranged according to the layout, so that like those fit together. So and this is why Tarbariitus, it fitted more with those others, so I put it a bit more down. But to me they are like the secret headliner, actually.
Okay.
So let's see.
Interesting how in one of their albums there is a song with a Latvian title.
Yes.
There should be an investigation on why is that so. But the lyrics are in English.
Yes, and I was asking him, and he said that it's basically because he like the album is called "Hailing the Coward Moon," and it's like very connected to like this topic, and then basically he found out that Pergerus is this one god, and he he punished Menes because he had a relationship with the moon. Yeah. So like this is like he investigated and found like this story, and it's quite similar in Lithuanian, by the way. But then like this was the reason why it came.
Okay, cool. We should probably mention the bands that are playing, and maybe in short you can describe them as you see them. Several. That's probably the most well-known band from this lineup, right? Yeah,
and I've seen them this year at Ziegenhorn and Renārs. Usually I try to avoid having the same bands, but in this case actually it was like really brilliant band. And and also the guy, I talked with him at Ziegenhorn, and he's really, again, same mindset, so I'm very happy about that. Which is also connected to Morok, because it's the same people.
Okay.
And
it's also black metal, right?
Yes.
But this is more atmospheric.
Yes, correctly. And I also like talked with him. There's a difference between Morok and Ziegenhorn, but the point is that both of them are really, really high quality, and like the mindset again, like is really right, and I'm quite happy to have them. Death
Kommander.
Death Kommander, of course. I thought it's nice to bring the guys here, because I anyways wanted to bring them to Estonia, and then I thought it's a good opportunity. Also to save cost for one airplane ticket, because I'm anyways already here.
Okay. This bit.
It was this one of our guys. He really liked this band because it's this crust death metal band.
Okay.
And because he also plays in Kruxator, which is our local band. One of our guys also plays in it, and it was like usually I try to avoid having like bands that are affiliated with the organizers, but those guys did a really great job, and I think like it can really, really work well. So I thought it is a good match. And then he also said, like this beat is quite nice, and actually they are. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the members was even a Fintroll at some point of time.
Nice.
So
Ugons.
I mean Gunt is he's an absolute character. I mean, and also like what is his name?
The only Latvian band, by the way.
The only Latvian, yeah. I always try to also incorporate at least one Latvian and one Lithuanian band.
Yeah.
Because I think when you do like a festival in Estonia, I think it's nice to have also Baltic bands playing there. And Ugand says it's not entirely black or deaf, it's their own way. But this is like what makes it really interesting.
They used to be black, but they kind of lean more into the rock and roll side. So they have blackened rock and roll, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As I
So
have seen them.
so what Guntis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting mixed up with names.
Guntis.
Guntis like does like perfectly. Like he's just a showman. He is just like when he's on stage, it feels like he was born there.
Yeah.
And and the idea was also that we try not to copy Hordes of Winter.
Yeah.
So the initial, like I'm a huge fan of black metal, and for me, like it would be absolutely perfect to do like only black metal only festival. But what is the difference between Hordes and Tarbariitus?
Yeah.
That's the point. So these bands are perfect because I know they have the mindset, and also musically, like I think it's very interesting to play. Yeah.
Okay. So Pergerus, we mentioned them.
Hmm.
You definitely have to check them out.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
We can also mention like the Lithuanian band Protocol. Here I met them actually.
Protocol F40.
F41, yes. And we met I think this year. No wait, this year when we played with Ziegenhorn and Dusan festivals.
Yeah.
And I talked to the drummer. He's a really cool guy, and I also knew Kipras because he's also in Magilla. And we decided to also release the album through Warhorn Records.
You just released a single, right?
Yeah, we released one single. One more is to follow this Friday. So this Friday is 20-something. This Thursday, sorry. And yeah, like I really like the music. It's very different, but definitely high quality.
Yeah.
And so I thought that like this would be also a perfect match for having like Lithuanian representative.
Yeah.
And actually I should mention that Victimaro is also a Finnish band.
Yeah.
This one was recommended to me by the guy who does the artwork. And I listened to them and thought, that's quite cool. And then they released this new song, and the new song is really, really good. And then I thought, yeah, it's absolutely amazing to have them. And they are going to release the album on the 11th and Protocol on the 10th. So it's also quite special this year that we have not only the bands playing, but also like releasing the album on the days of the festival, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. Ghost Magma.
I mean, there's like not much to say. I mean, it's like just pure bestial black metal, war metal. And again, like those guys, I mean, I know them, of course, I've been knowing them for some time, and they just deliver. It's like if you are into this kind of music and it's like very powerful, it's just perfect.
Sure.
Ashur is a band from Tallinn, so we also try to bring in some local bands. Like last year we had Humanity, who were coming from Tallinn, because it's also important to get some young guys, so like not only established band but also some young guys. And so those guys were quite interesting. They also have their own like Egyptian theme, and they will be opening on Friday. So last year it was Humanity were opening on Friday, now it's like Ashur opening Friday. So it's quite nice that we can have like keep kind of like the same same style.
Vortex Sutra.
Yeah, so this is like a bit of an outliner, because Vortex Sutra, like last year he was playing with Time Immemorial, and it's completely different than everything else. He's I would even say studied musician, even though like maybe it's not true, but he's super smart, and he is playing like this like jazz cover, you would say, like from black metal songs in Time Immemorial. But he also has his own project Vortex Sutra, which is, again, it's really weird and different, but it's done with a lot of heart. And so I thought it definitely makes sense to have him again, because last year the reception was quite nice, and it's also like something different. So you do not only get to know what you know, but you also get a dip into other things that are quality, but you necessarily don't know, right?
Yeah. Okay.
We have
Ziegenhorn.
yeah. It's also like a bit more established Estonian band,
Okay.
and I thought it's also quite nice to have them there because there's a special scene just south of Tartu. It's the Pulva scene. It's like its own city.
So there's multiple.
Yeah, and like this because there's four or five people who basically have mostly like the drummer of this band. Like I think he has like hundreds of bands. If you look at this, it's a Kruxator METALKÄSTS LV. You see like a huge list.
Yeah.
And yeah, these guys are like are also like quite nice. And some people even know them because they've been playing or like active for quite some time. And I thought it's the right time to bring in someone from their scene, just to also show that we don't only have Tali and Tartu, but something else as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Kruxator.
Yeah, so Kruxator before mentioned is like one of those guys who are also like with us, and they are like they have their own styles. Like it's very interesting to see how they evolve from the first concert I saw them to now. They try to think a lot about how stage presence should or could work like, and musically I also really liked it. They say it's black metal, but it's very much crust influenced.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere is really nice. I felt even a bit bad putting them on as first band on Saturday because they could also definitely work on a later slot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's actually good because they give this punch just from the beginning. Yeah, so that's about them.
Okay.
And then the last one is Blasphemian. And here, you may or may not have heard, but unfortunately, Clash had to cancel because the band dissolved. At least that's the information I got, and which is a bit of a shame because I felt they would be also very interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe they will reunite and come again, but I don't know. And then I talked to the singer, and he said that well, he has another, because I know he has another project. So I asked him, why did you come with that one? It's basically him like with two floor toms and doing like some bit of weird singing with it. But it's kind of like it has like very, I don't know, it has a very special vibe, and I really want to see it. so I thought, okay, like we wanted to have 13 bands. Now it's just +1, and it didn't fit into the schedule. So what we said is that on Friday, after the last band, there will be also an after party in a place called Tomb. So we have a new bar in the town.
Okay.
And there we planned on having him like at roughly 1 in the night, because it could be like really this special gig that like not many people will make it through, I guess. Well, maybe they will, but those who will make it through, I think this one will be very special because usually you're used to having your normal concerts, normal bands, but this one is then like something completely outside. So
yeah, very unique lineup, a unique mash of styles and bands. Last year you had panels downstairs.
Aye.
How about this year? Will you have panels?
We do. It was also like one of this idea to how do we make a festival special, and in this case we again said that we want to have like this discussion because we have so many interesting people there. Why not talk with each other and like exchange ideas? So I think there's even 1 or 2 other festivals who are doing it. I saw sometimes that like other festivals might be doing it as well, some bigger ones. I just saw like that some bands are doing it, but like they have like huge audience and everything. But yeah, here the idea is that like we just like try to look at who's present, and then we will pick the topics.
Yeah.
And what is so great about this is that we are now not only relying on, let's say, bands, but we also have some other people who are adjacent, right? Like you were there last year. We have like this year we have one girl who is studying or doing a PhD on the black metal scene in I think Estonia, Finland, or something like that.
Yeah.
And this is like quite interesting because now we have actually people you probably wouldn't talk to because they're not in bands, whatever, and they can talk about very interesting topics that you have not heard about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's a unique flair for this festival, and I really enjoy the conversations, and I'm glad that I got the opportunity to be involved in that process. And yeah, speaking about the first year, that was a very enjoyable festival. One of the personally recent favorites. The bands that stood out to me was definitely Krati. That was a surprise.
And
How do you find those bands?
But see, this is exactly this thing. Like I try, like maybe it was also a mistake to start looking for them only so late, because when you look too late, all of the bands are booked for next year. I hate it, because it doesn't give you any chance that you find a new band, you say, oh my god, they're amazing. You can just ask them. You can't, because usually the lineup is full. So in this case, I tried to like not stress myself out and just look at, okay, maybe I find something, and then I found them accidentally on YouTube or something, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. So I asked them, they were coming.
Yeah.
And this is like where I'm really proud of, because I feel like, you know, like sometimes I know this band is really going to work. They're really good, but no one knows them yet. And I have had this in the past, and then like now everyone knows them, of course. But I feel that, you know, like Krati was one example. Pergerus is the next. So Pergerus is this year's Krati.
Okay, yeah. Other standouts were, of course, Lloyd's.
Of course.
Classic, yeah. Nictopia, they stood out with their presence.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, like a movie.
Yeah.
Purely. Swarn, of course. Yeah, with the energy of the charts. Yeah, those were, I guess, my last year's standouts. In total, there are not loads of bands, but most of them are epic. So I expect no less from the second year.
Yeah, and I also should mention, because usually we have like a very much focus on the bands, right? But like, for example, this panel discussion is one good idea of like how to bring on also the other people we usually ignore, because they're not visible. And also I'm super grateful that we have, for example, Gron, who comes and does really great pictures and also films the bands.
Yeah.
Because I feel that, you know, for bands it's also like an additional like nice memory of just being there, and you can remember this by looking at it. Like I sometimes look at this one gig and feel like, oh, that was amazing.
We basically touched upon it, but in short summary, what can the attendees expect from the festival, and why should they visit?
I mean, it's just up to everyone themselves, like what they want to get from a festival, right? Like for me it's a bit different, because I've been like music consumer for more than 10 years before I started being active.
Yeah.
And so for me, like this is like how I try to organize it. Like when I'm a visitor at a festival, what do I want to see, right? So it doesn't necessarily go for others, but I want to have good bands that a mixture, and like where I say that I may not know them, but I know they're going to be good. I also want to be like partially surprised that, oh, there was like some small things, like maybe some beer with like our own logo on it and stuff like this, which again, like
I still have the cans on my shelf.
And like here it was also important not to take like the cheap pish. So with those we actually made minus. Usually like the income is like through alcohol, but because the bars are there, and we don't make any plus with that, but we decide to do it again, and the reason is just because it's a nice thing to have.
Yeah.
Right, but you can't do this if you're trying to do things commercially. But yeah, so like these kind of things, we also try to think about, okay, like let's say like it's kind of storytelling. Like me as a band, when I'm coming to a festival, what would make me glad? So we're trying to accommodate that, and that we do the same exercise for me as a photographer, right? Like so we like try to be personal, like to tell the people like you also like usually photographers. If you know beforehand, because some don't tell, like we also try to do something, or me as a guest. Right, we have like these wristbands.
Yeah.
Like it's not of paper, but actually real wristbands.
Quality, yeah.
Because for me that was always important, and I'm always disappointed when I go to a festival and I get the shitty paper one, and I feel rip it off. It's small details, but you know, like we try to think it out, and also like this panel discussions is also for the visitors, right? To be part of like the scene, not like only observer, but you can actually now go and listen. You can talk to the bands. So it's I think if you want to go more into this like underground, also talk to the people who are involved and maybe involve yourself. This is like the right place, right? So this is like I can't really tell why you should go there. Yeah, of course, of bands because of this and that, but if you want to have something special and if you want to just experience what this underground vibe should be about, at least in my opinion, then I think
Or
it's
get
right.
involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Opportunity to network.
Yeah, to network, or even to say, or to support, because we talked about it yesterday in the sauna.
Yeah.
So that like, you know, you can't keep a scene alive by just being at home and then complain, yeah, there's no concert. You even if you are, let's say, just a consumer and you support by buying a ticket, by buying shirts and like buying CDs, like then you are
That's
actually
more than some musicians.
Exactly, and this is like so important. And like you see, like the musicians and you see some bands who are playing on stage, but how often do they buy like a ticket? How often do they like buy a CD? Or I mean, I shouldn't be like, you know, talking too much, because like my cupboard is overflowing with over 100. I think I've in total 200 shirts, because this was my way of supporting bands. But now I can't buy anymore because I don't have space. But this is like one way how you can support and like keep the scene alive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And the tickets are 45 euros. That's like, for a festival, that's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, like they are still until end of.
Some concerts with 2-3 bands cost the same price.
Yeah, but and actually this year we tried also to do something different from pricing perspective, because this year I can tell you that the bands alone, they cost double the amount than last year, and we raised the ticket by €5 compared to last year. So I'm
Dangerous territory.
It is dangerous, but at the same time, I felt that you know, like if you want to get something cool, then you know, like you just need to try to get it done. But the point is that that like you could increase the ticket prices, but then no one could afford it anymore. And so we have, for example, the early bird tickets that when I just made a post that saying that okay, we still have some left, bam, they were gone. It's just people are rich, you know, lazy with buying. But we also made a new ticket category for people that are 21 or below, because we heard also last year that a lot of them saying that, oh, we don't have the money to come. And I understand it, because I was in the same situation. And if you now still say you can't come, then I'm sorry, but you know, it's your own fault. So, and I see we have sold, I think, 5 or 6 of those only. So I am wondering, like, if the youngsters just leave it to the end, or if they won't come and then complain about what not, right? Yeah.
Would you like to mention anything else about the festival?
Not yet. I think, you know, like we have to see how it goes this year. We definitely have already some good amount of pre-sales.
Yeah.
Pre-sales is always important because it gives you an idea of how many people you can expect, because people with a ticket, they definitely show up. But I'm curious of how it goes, because if it's like, I'm not so concerned about like going minus, because it will most likely be. But it's a question of like how to continue, because if you see there's no interest, then there's no point to continue. It's not about the money; it's about interest, right?
Yeah.
So for this year, I'm a bit more optimistic. Although I must say that to Latvia we have sold only 1 ticket.
So Latvians, get it together, right? How many Latvians were there last year?
Definitely more. I think 5 to 10.
Okay.
I saw like 3 guys like walking always around, like those definitely were. And but of course, like this year we also did like a not so great job with the advertisement, because for Sobens and Lemes I tried to get the artwork ready, but the artist had some difficulties. So how can you do post without artwork, right?
Yeah.
And this was like a huge issue. Then the bands changed because someone dropped off, and there's a nice squirrel walking around, like really beautiful.
Oh yeah, mother, look. On tree. That's it. Uz koka tur vāvera.
It's even an orange one. It's beautiful. Yeah, so yeah, maybe it's own fault, but I think, you know, like that if you try to do something like with high quality, that people then know that doesn't matter like what they what lineup it is, that like they will
still have a good
Yeah.
time.
Because for us it's like a huge amount of effort.
There's a lot of bands to discover. That's I
Exactly.
think those festivals are better, which where you do not know all the bands. Instead of the festivals, you know every band. Like there's nothing new you're gonna experience. Right?
Yeah, because usually festivals are built in a way that they want to take a headliner that everyone knows, and then the bands, like let's say 4 or 5 bands that everyone knows, and then maybe some. But usually how they do it is they put all the money to the known bands,
Yeah.
and then if you're an unknown band, oh yeah, come for free. Like I try to do it in a different way. This is also why it's very difficult to find headliners who agree to not play for like 5,000 euros, because I feel it's a bit unfair if you like make it like completely zero money to the support bands. I try to at least give something, but then of course these bands complain, oh it's too little, and it's like, come on guys, like you are completely unknown, like there's no one coming for you, right? It's like and again, like you have that amount of money, and how do you support it? Like how do you spread it, right? You can spread it equally to every band, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because like some bands, first of all, like from the distance, right? Some come for further far, some are flying in, right? Then secondly, on how well known they are. This is a very difficult topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I also want to touch upon your label, but before that, maybe we can touch upon Estonia
Mm-hmm.
a bit. We already did so slightly, but how did you get to be in Estonia, in the scene there?
Well, I came here for doing my masters. So I was at university, and then I knew some guys because of my ex-girlfriend, and then I tried to get into it, but it was very difficult in the beginning, and only later I realized that they are very reserved. Well, actually, also at the time. So I tried to talk with another guy who was from Iceland, also a foreigner here, and we tried to start a band together. He also had a band, so we found a drummer, and then it's like how we started. And then once you do the band, you get also more respected, because before you were kind of like this guy, like some guy wants to do stream music, like Estonians are very reserved. Yeah, and so yeah, at some point of time I managed to get like let's say, like I think like the respect of the others who were then seeing that, okay, like he's not only talking but also doing. And yeah, and then the rest is history, by starting with Warhorn Records and all these other funny things.
We also touched upon the Estonian scene, but in general, how do you see it as a region-based divisions of the scene, or the scenes are more stylistically based?
So we have a lot of discussions from different people, because the Estonian metal scene is extremely connected. So for example, this one band that was then booked to another festival, I knew that they said to us, oh, maybe they cannot make it after they received an offer from this other festival, so this is why I was a bit angry at them.
Yeah.
But point is that like yes, we're connected, but it does not always mean that all people or bands get well together. So like there might be some beef between some Tartu and Tallinn bands, also because of mindset, because some feel they're more elitarian.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that some think we are not underground enough because we go out publicly, we talk to other people. But for me, underground is not about pretending to be like this basement kid who doesn't talk to others, but it's about the mindset. And the mindset is I want to talk, but only to the right people who would understand, right? Yeah, I think like we have two scenes, like three. One is the Pelva scene, which is like south of Tartu. One is in Tartu, and one is in Tallinn. And this is like the main scenes, I would say. Maybe there's even like some Russian-speaking scene only. I've heard of that, but I'm not entirely sure. But musically, they're completely different. And this is what makes it so interesting that well, I have a feeling that, and some people might hate me for that, but in Tallinn, they're doing like good music, but they just replicating other bands. So, for example, no, okay, I wanted to be examples, but you will see that, yeah, of course, they do high quality music. And when I talk to some of the people, it's like, yeah, but it's the first band in Baltics. Okay, fair point, but I'm coming from a bigger country. Like, I see, yeah, you are like this band, that band. I get what you try to do, but it's nothing new. It's just replicating.
I think in Baltics that was the case in the 90s and early 2000s especially, that when the metal music started to flood in our countries after the collapse of Soviet Union, then they were mesmerized by black metal and all different kinds of metal, so they instantly tried to do something similar because they have never heard anything like that.
Yeah, it's a fair point, and truth to be told, I like a lot of the bands.
Yeah.
Right, like I like them because they do the stuff like at a high quality, but it's nothing new. And in Tartu, like this is the difference. In Tartu, everyone is going their own path.
Yeah.
And we had, and this is now where it goes a bit more interesting, is that we have this one guy. He's quite known because he's also playing drums and Lloyds, but his father was also playing drums and Lloyds, and he has a radio show. Really nice guy, but he's going more into his mainstream direction, like mainstream metal, and which is totally fine. He's just a different mindset, and he wants to make his living with music, which is absolutely valid. And he complained that in Estonia, bands, first of all, don't take it seriously enough, and secondly, that there is no uniting thing between them. So like you have like everyone doing their own style, but there's not this what you would call Estonian metal. You can't say, oh yeah, this sounds like, for example, Icelandic metal, black metal, or like he's more in the death metal scene, but still it's the same point.
Yeah.
And I think this is actually the strength, that everyone does like their own curious thing.
I understand, yeah.
But yeah, it's more difficult to understand, like if a band is now coming from this area or not.
Okay. And what other scenes have you been involved with, and how do you compare them?
So when I was in Germany, I was more into this, like, I was only shortly in some scenes, but I would say that because of engagement as, visitor, but also like helper of festivals, I have a lot of connections into the black metal scene. And then, of course, in Scotland, there was a time when I was involved in some scenes. Sweden, partially. But you can see the huge difference is the mindset. Because, for example, in Germany, I have a feeling that everyone's playing against each other. So maybe you have like some groups of people, but they don't want to talk with these people, and then they want to be separate from these people, and it's very fractured. You don't have, I mean, it's also a huge country, right?
Yeah.
And I have a feeling also that's like more about money, because quite often I hear that, I heard at least 2 stories where the drummer was saying, like for his own band, was asking to be paid for recording the album. It's like, it's your band. I mean, it's not your session drummer. Like, you are in the band, and you asking paid for it. Like, it's just a crazy mindset. Whereas in our scene, like if I'm asking our drummer, who, by the way, got his drum kit from another guy who just bought it for him because he said, yeah, I have the money and you're a great drummer, so you can, otherwise you can't afford it. So he just got it for him, and then half of Estonia has been playing with this drum kit because it's getting borrowed out. And I think, the mindset of like helping out each other is like very strong there. And you don't necessarily have it in many other places.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I find your activities inspirational, and that Latvians have a lot to learn from it. That's why I like to at least partially be involved, or at least communicating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe someday it will be something more effective for us. But how was the Scotland scene?
I would say it's at the moment, at least from what I hear from some people, it's also kind of a bit fractured. There are some organizers who are doing things, then they don't get along with some other people. Then you have like a strong death metal scene. I think they get along quite well, but they have this problem that they don't necessarily get out of Scotland. So, but it's about like mostly death, and from black, I think there's not that many black metal bands. Of course, you have Sire, but they do their own thing. It's like also Kruxator is also a bit connected with them. I don't know if they're even like active, so they don't their very own thing. Then you have like some others. So, I mean, also in Scottish, you know, like nature is more about fighting, and you know, you just think so. Like it would be weird if they were all be loving each other.
There aren't really any stable or known festivals in Scotland.
There used to be. I actually don't know how many of them are still there. There used to be North of the Wall. There used to be Caledonian Darkness. There used to be. Oh, now they have like this death metal festival that's going on, and those were really really cool. But they were organized by Sylvia, who now is living in London, if I'm not mistaken, and she's also organizing a lot of festivals over there. So she, unfortunately, like this shifted a bit, but there were really, really cool festivals up there. Also with the right spirit, I think.
Yeah. In regards to Estonian metal, what I would say channels are there to keep tabs on what's going on in Estonian metal?
So if you want to, yeah, like you ask for follow, or like understand what is going on, or
Like no, I don't know, media, news sites, shows, anything. What's a good resource to know about, to learn about Estonia?
I think it's difficult because you have different actors, right? Like House of Winter is like one festival, but for example this year they had not a single Estonian band. But it's a good place to talk with the people. For us, we are mostly focused on black metal, so we mostly have, at least for Estonian, Southern Estonian bands, we have the majority, of course, but there's still exceptions. And I don't think there's like a single place where you can actually get like all information. Underground it sometimes talks, but they actually since they've started the Ziegenhorns, I don't think I've seen many posts about Estonian music, very rarely. So I think it's because, of course, like there's many bands out there, many genres, and there's many things. Estonian metal sometimes posts. Those are the only ones I could think of.
Yeah. How do you learn about stuff? Just by meeting people?
Sometimes you, like when you are in certain groups, you see that someone posts something, and then you're like, oh, that's cool. Sometimes you hear, sometimes you're engaged, sometimes you see a poster, flyer. Yeah.
Okay. So the last big topic, Warhorn Records. You started it in 2020?
Right.
Solely, or was it a collaborative effort?
In the beginning it was together with Valdi, who was doing the designs and the artwork and everything, and I was doing like all the other stuff. But then at some point of time Valdi moved to Denmark, and we also musically we had slightly different ideas, because he's like coming more from this death metal scene and I'm more from this black metal scene, and we had some great ideas that worked together, but like others that were different. And when he moved away, he pretty much like left it to me, and sometimes I used his services as a designer, but like sometimes I try to do it myself. And now Valdi is not working, but he's running this what's called again, Gatekeeper. Like, I mean, Gatekeeper is mostly Eric, but all the artwork comes from Valdi, so they still have like a strong connection there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for the time being, like I do it pretty much everything myself, but I try to incorporate other artists or people who work with me. So when the band comes to me, that it's not me who draws something, but we think about do you have a drawing? If not, who could do it? And all this, like, and sometimes bands design their own. So I just tell them what is my expectation, or like how it should look like, because I think that first of all, every release should be high quality, And some bands are just like, yeah, we have it. Yeah, we just like, oh, do we need lyrics? Oh, do we need that? No, yes, no. And then tell, okay, guys, would you buy it? No. Why? Because, yeah, it's just another thing. But if you had this and that, then it's at least something valuable for you, what you would be proud of holding in your hands. And this is the idea. So
is this underground mentality also the reason for starting this label?
definitely is, yes. And also, like, another idea was because I knew at the time that we were starting to have more and more bands. I wanted to have like it on my own time and accord. So we, with Demonic Obedience, we were cooperating with this one label, and they pressed the CDs and it looks nice, but they sent you all the CDs and that's it. And somehow you feel, I don't know, like it's, I would have done this differently, or I would like to have done these small details, like for example with Ziegenhorn that I showed before, right? That you want to have, like I want to have like this crazy stuff. Like I want like this artwork I made, especially the guy make the artwork that like the logo can be here. The same for this part. Unfortunately here it only partially worked out, but still. And then also like this crazy part, like it's another artwork. Also having this all the way that I wanted it to look like no label would ever do that, because for them it's one release and the next and the next and the next. So, but I can just take my time and just do it in my own time, and then release it when it's finished, and not need to rush it. And with other labels you can't do it.
Yeah.
So it was important that you start your own things, that you can decide what you want to do and when you want to do it. Yeah.
And how do you choose or find the bands that you want to take under your wing in your label, if you could say so?
So here again it's about mindset. So I have two rules. First, I need to know the people, and secondly, I need to be convinced that the music is quality. And this is like why usually it's from like within our circle, because sometimes like they have the expectations that you do this and that. And now we have started with two. Well, we have other bands as well. For example, Pergerus, who are also from this Pergerus scene. We have Nyktopia, who are outside.
Scotland.
Exactly. And now we have Protocol and one more Estonian band, which will be very interesting because it's a release of an album that was finalized 10 years ago, but they never released.
Yeah.
And this band itself has already released 3 albums, and it's kind of a legendary band in Estonia. And I thought this would be like really suitable, because I talked with the guy and he told me that, well, you know, there were reasons why it was never released, and then I thought it's such a shame to not release it. But yeah, so like this is how I find them, by just like seeing like what I like and what would work. And in some cases I must say that maybe it was not the best match, because like mindsets are quite different. And then when you tell the like I say like another band, all right, I want to have it this way or that way, and then they say like, oh, but we want to have it other way. Or like when you tell them, okay guys, I know you're done, but we're not done. Like for example, like they throw you some artwork and it's like, oh yeah, I've spent already that much time, and yeah, I don't feel like doing anything anymore. And like, guys, like you can't just stop there. Or like with the mixing is the same. And this is like where it's sometimes a bit difficult with some bands, because they to tell them, yes, I know that you run out of energy, but do you want your band to be just average, or do you want to be really good? And I don't want to release something I'm not convinced of, and I'm at the moment not convinced of what you have done. And this is like sometimes very, very difficult, so I'm very careful with with whom to cooperate. Yeah.
But there is a possibility that at some point a Latvian band could join.
Maybe, if it fits, and if I have time to deal with all that, because I mean I have my main job, I have festival, I have my own bands, and everything I do, which is like not related to them, is way more work for me. So I need to be certain that I don't burn out in the meantime.
Okay, let's maybe mention the bands that are on the label, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Death Kommander is a recent addition.
No, Death Kommander was the second release we had with Bob Mori, and also Death Kommander is now under 4 labels technically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Pagansurf.
Pagansurf, yes, and because you asked me, I just almost forgot. Ta-da.
Thank you.
Uh,
This is the new album?
Yes, this is the new album. We released the first and now the second album as well. I think the second album is also really like step up from the previous. Yeah, and again, like those are from like south of Tartu. Yeah.
They are pagan black metal.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
say.
And in my opinion, one of the best vocals in the whole scene.
Yeah. Swarn, we already mentioned.
Yeah.
They do all their releases under Warhorn.
Partially, for example, this vinyl that I showed before is released, like together with another label that you don't know because it's the main guy's own label. So like we did 50-50 basically. So yeah, but it's basically also under our, and they were also at what was it called again? Under another label that was before they joined us.
Wolfskron.
Yes, so like now we will see if there will be a new album, but yes, like the leaves are falling. It's very suitable because it's Autumn's Fall. It's the album of the name of the album, right? And I really want to do another album, but it not only depends on me. So
I think that was the code you gave me in House of Winter was for that.
It's also the nice thing because usually I ask people like what music they're interested in because we don't have one style, right? And then I know, okay, if someone likes atmospheric, there you go, or if someone likes aggressive, there you go. So yeah,
it felt very Baltic, Wolfskron. For me,
Interesting.
I don't know why, but yeah, it felt that way. Nyctopia is a recent addition.
It was well a couple of years ago, like I think 2022 or something.
Yeah.
But yes,
They also publish their material somewhere else, or
they did something before, I think, but I really can't remember where or how. Probably DIY.
yeah, okay. Langeno, what is that?
Langeno. So Langeno is one of the oldest existing bands in our scene. I would say, like in our Pergerus scene, and they have released some stuff on their own. And then when we talked about this EP, I felt like it's a really cool idea to have this Satonic, because it's like a local dialect in southern Estonia, and so they were singing in this dialect and making this basically like in a new way, so like new music with old dialect, and I really liked that, and it's always like some guys from our scene, so yeah.
Okay. Ziegenhorn, we already mentioned that.
Oh yeah.
That's powerful stuff. Maybe we should put stuff out just because we have a technical issue with the camera, of course. And if you have something else you want to show, feel free to put it up.
I think my magical box has reached its limits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only have Hasswald.
Yeah. Nice. What else do you have? What is where? Vare.
Vare. So this was an interesting project because those guys, I met them at, like I usually never go to McDonald's, but one day I was going after band practice to McDonald's, and then there were those two guys who were slightly drunk, and they came to me and was like, "Oh, don't you play like in at Ziegenhorn?" I was like, "Yes, I really don't like, like being seen as like the band or like the label guy. I like to talk with people like normal people." But then they told me about their band, and I felt like this is really weird, but okay, let's give them a chance. And I told them, okay, if you just record something, some demo, send it to me, and I will see. Like, why not? So after I think half a year, because Estonians are as slow as Latvians, right? They sent me something.
Latvians say that Estonians are slower than the slowest, but I feel it's either equal or Latvians are actually the slowest.
Well, for you it took 1 year to reply, for them half a year, so I know who won. But then what they showed me, like I listened, I think they did 3 demo songs, and the first one was, I don't know, like, I don't think it will hold. Oh, maybe. The first song was you could feel that they put like, oh cool riff, and like then they just put it together, and it felt like, nah, sorry, like doesn't work. But then the other songs, I heard some really interesting parts, and I thought, whoa, actually this has some potential. So I talked to them and like answered them in the mail and said, well guys, I see some potential, but you really need to rewrite or like restructure, and we're happy to help. But I can just tell you from like honesty, I won't say like lie to you, right? And then I thought, okay, they will never come back, but they did. And then yeah, we met up in the practice room, and then they like we showed them like what could be better and what not, and then they kind of like rewrote the stuff, and the result is what you can hear on this demo. And I think it's really fantastic. It's really going in a really good direction. Of course, it's not like the best you will ever hear, but this band has the potential to go there. Yeah. And only like unfortunately the main guy, he now went to do his PhD in Denmark. So I'm not sure like how much. He told me he's sometimes been writing like new material. So I'm curious to see what will happen. But it's kind of like on pause right now until they come back and will do some new stuff. So yeah.
Hasswald.
Yeah, Hasswald. It's an interesting project because it's kind of like kept under the radar on purpose. It's kind of like as like it is said here, Musik für alle und für keinen. It's music for everyone and none. Either you like it or you hate it, and there's like a lot of philosophy behind it that may or may not be understood. I have a feeling, but yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, like most was like released digitally, and maybe at some point of time there will be also like another physical release. But at the moment, yeah, there's a patch that exists, which looks quite cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How?
This is like an interesting one, because as many say, this is like the cover's amazing. Yeah.
Instantly catches your eye.
And I'm so annoyed that we didn't do a vinyl, but vinyl is really expensive, and if I'm doing it alone, I won't be selling it first of all, and like it's a lot.
Consider it to be too late to make a vinyl?
It's never too late, but in music, it's unfortunately like that whenever you release something, and you release the physical merch later, it will not be sold, or like it will not sell as well. Okay. So the band would need to be active and or to release something new and then like actually gain traction and so on and so forth. But right now it's like flying a bit under the radar because it's also one side project of some people. Yeah. And but it's definitely an amazing album.
Yeah, totally agree. Love that album. There is Protocol F40.1, right? That's the most recent band.
That will be released, yes, I think so. Yes. Yeah, the idea was also to get a bit more connection between Estonia and Lithuania. Yeah. I feel they have some promising bands and also some interesting music going on. And we like especially for the Baltics, it kind of makes sense to stick together, to think about like releasing together. Yeah. And so this is like a trial. Let's try it. If it works, if it doesn't work, it's like one of those bands where you have like 5 people who are in a band. Usually you have one main guy, and then like the main guy just decides everything. And here you have 5 people where everyone's kind of like talking, some more, some less. Yeah. So it's a bit more challenging in that way, but I think it was also a strength because those guys have different strengths as well. So one of them like is creating those music videos. One of them is more for the visual parts and doing mastering. So I think this will be a very interesting, and especially for the Lithuanian scene, also can be quite an important release because it's definitely high quality and it doesn't need to hide itself. Yeah. And it's something completely new. So like at least for me, I have not heard like this combination of these crazy drums with death metal vocals with this kind of like black metal like songwriting. So I'm really interested in how others perceive it, and I think they definitely will evolve from there. So also what I say with the label is that like the main idea is that to give freedom to the bands. So if they decide that for the next album they want to go somewhere else, then be my guest. If they want to re-release the album on vinyl, whatever, like and another label offers it, why not? And I think this band, they can, or like at least they have the ambition, and if they want to do that, then they can probably make it. So I think this is like a band you will definitely hear a bit more about in the future.
Are there any other bands that are in the label but you didn't mention?
So the one band, Estonian band, I don't want to spoil it too much, but the name should be known to Estonians at least.
Yeah.
They will be releasing something. Spoiler: it's not Lloyd's, but it's a similar band. So yeah, this one actually is I'm a bit excited about. It's musically it's very, I would say, like more not so accessible as others. Like for example, Death Kommander is very accessible, but it doesn't matter because the idea is not, sell hundreds of merches, but it is. And would I say they're under the label? No, not really, because they're their own band, right? So, but
Collaborative release. So.
yeah. But I would say that like the bands that usually are from our circle, right? Like you can consider them under our label, even though when we do cooperation with others.
Yeah. Okay. In your first release, it was a compilation, right?
I like to call it split album.
Okay.
Reason is that on compilations you usually would have already released songs just put together, but it doesn't give value. For this split album, the idea was that everyone gives a song where they feel it doesn't fit on the album or EP or anywhere, and it's only released on this.
What's it called?
What?
The release.
Tabuff in Fortress. Yep. So the idea was that like it's not just like thrown like compilation like together, but actually a cooperation. And here we also had everyone doing their own things. So like our own mixing. We had two guys doing the mastering. Like the artwork was done by ourselves, and it was pressed in Tartu, and it was basically the showcase that the local scene can produce something which is very interesting and also give insight in what we have.
Yeah.
However, if you look at who of these bands are left now and how many have been added, it's quite a difference.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know, like if you want to touch on that, because I think we talked already way too long. But we also had this documentary, Tartu Under the Horns.
Yep.
Right.
It was shown in the first Tarbariitus.
It was shown in the first Tarbariitus as well, yes. And it's on YouTube. And here when I here when I compare what happened since, because the documentary was done in 2021 or 2, one of those years. So there was a huge change. We also have a website called Pergerus.eu, and here we also have one part where we show the history of us, and you can see like every year there's like something new coming. Now the latest edition probably would be Must, that is now also like will be released, so to say, on Tarbariitus.
Yeah.
And it's quite good because it shows that our scene is actually getting better and better, and also recognized more internationally, because at the moment we have more gigs abroad than in Estonia.
How does even a small label get to press physical releases? Is it purely of your own pocket to finance it, or?
Yes. Like in some cases we're lucky to break even, and the idea is that the money we get in is the money we can spend again.
Yeah.
So usually like for one release it takes I don't know, a couple of months, then you have like some money in again, you can spend it again for the next release. Sometimes I have to put money in because as you know, like it's not always like very financial viable, especially because we were selling like CDs and all the stuff quite cheaply, because the idea is again not to make money but to make it affordable and also accessible to more people.
Yeah.
And in some cases I have to transfer money again and again, but it's more or less okay. It's just like when you have like these big things like vinyls, which are really expensive.
Yeah.
But it also helps because that means you have more quality than quantity. So you have we have maybe 2 releases per year or sometimes 4, but at least you know that each of them is something special and not this mass-produced quality.
Does the band also throw in money for the releases?
No, I mean what they usually do is they themselves have already a cover, so like some of them pay for a cover, some do it themselves, right? So some artwork, because either I can come up with some artwork or they. In one or two cases I was paying for the master, because I felt that we need to have a proper master for the CD. They were doing a mixing, but needs a proper master. In some cases, like for example in Swarn, like the guy does everything himself, so we don't need anything else. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a relation to the defunct Quebec label Warhorn Records?
Sorry, ask again?
There is a dead label in Canada,
Okay.
Quebec, also by the same name.
Okay. I have no idea.
I was wondering if it's somehow related.
No, not at all. I think I researched it at some point of time and then accidentally stumbled on it. Then thought, oh my god, but it was discontinued. Yeah, I vaguely remember like 5 years ago when I started it. I first chose the name and then I googled and I was like, okay, from now on I first googled and then chose the name. But luckily it was already discontinued. That's the only thing I remember.
Yeah.
But the name was actually coming from, I can't remember actually. There was a reason. And I think it was also connected to it's basically, if I'm not mistaken, it's like we had Ziegenhorn as well. So Warhorn, it's connected, but also Warhorn is kind of like this we made like in the beginning of our videos, you can sometimes hear this as well. So this idea, this Warhorn is shouting out into the world that like the attack is coming. Yeah.
Okay. Any other future plans or goals? Even what are you walking towards with your label?
I mean, it would be nice to. Like they did I mean the main idea of the label is to create great quality merch, and every time I'm very happy that like people do appreciate the merch. So this is like the current and future objective, that we can keep the quality that we have. At the same time, of course I would like in some cases to do again vinyl. In some cases it definitely would work. Also, like let's say people would buy it, but I don't want to ship it out. So in case of Howl, for example, like it would be cool to find some partner like who would do that, but also for future ones, because for the second or next Ziegenhorn, I definitely will also go for vinyl again. So yeah, but there's not like any plans to extend it or to make it bigger, because like all the time, like I spend a lot of work in preparing everything, so for me like having 2 or 3 releases per year is already like more than enough, and I don't need to have like this mindset that a lot of people have, that they want to grow. It's no, if you have the level of quality, and maybe you can improve the level of quality, bringing even better merch, then that's all that counts.
Would you say there's a following abroad for your releases?
I think the following abroad is bigger than domestically. Yeah.
Bandcamp?
Yeah, partially, but also like when I send out CDs, like it really depends on the band, because for example what I see is that Wache and Langenau, for example, they were more sold domestically, whereas Ziegenhorn and Swarn, they're more sold internationally. Actually Swarn is like also a lot domestically, but also internationally. So it really depends on the band, and I think this is actually really cool, because you can see that there are a lot of people who follow the label, and there are a lot of people who listen to it and then decide for themselves if they like it or not.
Yeah.
And I think this is the best way, that you have some kind of way of deciding what you like and what you don't.
Yeah, you should definitely keep up the work. Through random festival visiting chances, I got the opportunity to learn about the things you do, and the quality has held me interested for these years, and I'm doing this conversation because I would like the people also know about this, and and that it's worth their time to check it out. And you're doing a great job. Keep
Thank
it
you.
up, and people have to check it out. I hope this conversation made people interested, and I hope people will consider going to this amazing festival.
Yeah, if they made it through all the technical difficulties we had, then
Yeah.
I hope they will hear this and that we are not the 5 of us being at a festival and in front
Yeah.
of the stage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Anyway,
you.
thank you for your time, and
Likewise.
yeah, definitely we will do this again sometime. And
Yeah, maybe in 5 years to see what has happened, right?
yeah, sure. As long as there's quality, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
As in everything you do.
Yes. Thank you, Renārs. It was, as always, nice to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, see you next episode.
Okay, now we should get out here.
Yeah.
We are overstaying 2 hours.
They said it's okay. That's why.
We are the last guest this year anyway.
Yeah.
How do the radio moderators prepare this? There's some British, I can't remember what it was, but they were basically showing how those radio moderators prepare, because you need to kind of like prepare your voice or like your pronunciation, so you're like all these funny things. Oh, tiny picker like backline is walking around here.
Hello? Speak.
Yes, I do speak occasionally.
You are a man of many hats, right?
Yeah, but I only have one at home.
Man neierakstījās tajā nekas.
Nekas?
It's not working or?
Es vienkārši
Tajā.
pārbaudīju, tur vispār nekā nav. Es nezinu, atmīs kādu, bet šeit viss ierakstījās.
Do you remember at what topic we switched the cameras?
Oh, it's not working at all?
No, this one is, but
The
with
other
that-
one is not all.
there's something with that camera.
Yeah.
We can touch upon those topics that we started,
Yeah.
but at what point did we switch the cameras?
I think it was when we had the Ziegenhorn vinyl, right?
I don't remember currently. Tu vari pasīties ar ieslēgt ierakstu sākumu.
Jūs ko darīsiet?
Nē, nu mēs turpināsim un vienkārši tad sākumu
Kad
pēc tam.
beidzat?
When we will finish, then we will do the start
Yeah.
condensed version.
Yeah, we can try. Yeah.
Vienkārši tu pasties, ar ko sākās ieraksts tajā kamerā. Yeah?
Well, now you see like all the challenges we also have. Let's just check that it's still recording. Yes, it's still red.
Es nezinu, kā paklausīties šeit.
Nē, nu,
Nē, te kaut kas skan, bet es nezinu, kā uzslēgt skaļāk.
ko tur redzi?
Nu, panāc.
Ziegenhorn ir tur? Plata.
It doesn't matter. We can like look at it in the end. Let's just continue at the moment.
I have at least audio recording of it, you know?
Yeah. I don't know why, but every time I'm involved, there's some technical issues, and I have
Yeah, you killed our camera.
it's my positive vibes that are, yeah,
Yeah.
Toxic positivity.
toxic positivity. Yes.